Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. A very warm welcome to all of you who already joined on this next edition of our webinar series, Organizing for Project Success by Humanizing Work. In this first episode of the second stage of our webinar, we're going to cover the challenges of fragmented work. Apologies for that. Working with different tools like Spreadsheet and Stickies, and what are the issues that teams and organizations face because of working in that fragmented manner. Uh, we'll wait for a few more seconds as we start with our initial introductions and agenda, and give a few more people to join. Um, in the meantime, let me get started with some of the preliminaries. So our agenda today is to start with some introductions, and then a quick word about the sponsor, which is Nimblework. And then we get on to the main session today, which is fragmented work on spreadsheets and stickies. And at the end, we will have a Q&A session. Uh, just some housekeeping. We are recording the session, and we will make a copy of the recording available at the end of the session via an email that we send to you. Um, uh, at any time, if you have questions, please ask those questions using the Q&A box that you should see on your screens. And we will take up these questions towards the end of the end of our session today, and hopefully have a good interactive discussion on some of the things that we talk about in today's session. All right. So with that, let's get started with the introductions. I'm very happy to introduce my partner in crime here, Manoj Cherian. He's a VP of Business Development for Nimblework, and as I've been saying in this series throughout, that he's the one person in the organization that's most qualified to talk about these topics because of simply the sheer experience he has working with some of the largest customers that we have, and guiding them through solving some of the challenges that they're trying to solve with implementing our solutions. Um, so Mano is closely involved with our customers, not just during the pre-sales, but also in implementation of the solutions with some of the largest ones. Welcome, Mano.
Hi, Mahesh.
All right. And my name is Mahesh. I'm a co-founder and I run marketing at Nimblework. But I also have the experience, fortunately, to work with our customers in the Western Hemisphere. And I worked with some of our larger customers in implementing our solutions, especially on the lean agile side, but also our enterprise solutions. And as a result, both Mano and I have gained a tremendous amount of understanding of how companies grow, and what kind of challenges they face as they grow, and especially in terms of managing their work and managing their projects, and in the process of organizing themselves, whether it is processes, whether it is people, whether it is organizational structures, or whether it is tools and technology, how they organize themselves so that they can improve their overall capability to do the work that they do, and to make sure that they are aligned at various levels of the organization. And so we have a lot of experience, and we have a lot of lessons to impart from that, which is what we are hoping to do through this series. All right. Before we, I'm sorry about this. Suddenly been taken over my some throat issues here. By the way, Mano, I don't know if you know, but we are having one of the biggest heat waves in the Western United States for the last 1 week, and it keeps getting extended. So I don't know if you guys are having similar issues in India, but I think
No,
India, yeah.
India, it's raining, and the place where I'm in, it is very pleasant and nice.
No, Mano is based in Bangalore, where I know that it's very pleasant and nice right now. And I'm based in the Bay Area, Cupertino, Northern California, and we have been having this heat dome that's causing all kinds of challenges, but nothing compared to the Indian summers. Nevertheless, something to get used to. Anyway, hopefully my throat will be clearer after this. All right, so let's a quick word about the company Nimblework, and then we'll get started on the main session. So Nimblework was known earlier as Digite, and we have been a pioneer in web-based project and work management solutions for the last 2 decades plus. We are headquartered here in Cupertino, California, but we have offices in the US, in India, and in Europe to help all of our customers. We have customers, of course, around the world, and we have over 1 million users of our products in various parts of the world using these products for managing all aspects of their project and work delivery, both internal as well as for their own customers. And we can talk a little bit more about that during the main session today. But I invite you to look at our website, nimblework.com, if you would like to learn more about the company and its background. Just a quick look at our overall product portfolio. So we have Nimble, which is the sort of overarching umbrella of products that we have, which essentially provide adaptive project and work management capabilities to organizations. In most companies, people and teams do work which is both project-driven work as well as the regular business as usual work, keeping the lights on work. And um, you know, they have to balance capacity between their regular work and change-driven projects related work that they need to do. And Nimble allows you to or enables you to manage both of those types of work very seamlessly. And so we have various capabilities here that you can see, such as Agile, OKRs, work management, retrospectives, hybrid Agile, and so forth, that really help you manage work in the exact way that you'd like to manage it, with all kinds of capabilities that we provide in terms of high levels of configurability, so that you can really tune it to the way that you do your work. You not have to tune your work to the ways of the tool. We believe strongly in that. We also have Swift Kanban, which is a very focused Kanban method-driven tool for those of you who may have adopted Kanban as the way to implement and scale Agile within your organizations. And that follows the Kanban method that has been a hallmark of our Kanban support over the last more than 15 years now, with the support of the Kanban method. Um, and then one last slide here about our customers. You'll see hopefully some very well-known brands here, and at the same time, some perhaps not so well-known brands here. The idea of this slide is to just give you a sense of the fact that our products can be used by some very large companies, some of the largest in the world, as well as very small teams. We have people anywhere from 5 to 15 or 25 people using our products. And of course, we have some of the largest companies using our products for tens of thousands of their users, delivering projects and value to their customers. So again, we invite you to take a look at our products if you are interested, or if you are in the market for something new in terms of your work management and project management capabilities. All right, so let's start after that with our main session today. And this question really is posed to all of you, all of us even, in terms of, what do you really use to manage your overall organizational work and delivery? Um, you know, and the fact is that if you look at the data for work management project management tooling companies, you'll see that all of us together, we are part of that ecosystem. We have probably addressed about 10 to 15% of the worldwide workforce that could potentially benefit from using a work management tool or a project management tool. And so 85 to 90% of the population out there is still using what we call fragmented tools, of disparate tools. These tools could be spreadsheet and email. That's probably the most common ways that people get started on projects. Or it could be stickies that you use, electronic or paper stickies, or a variety of document formats, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, and so forth. And they manage the work. Now, it is possible that at a certain size, you might believe that it is quite all right to manage work that way. And at a team level, at an individual level, it might actually work quite well for you. But if you look at it slightly at a slightly broader level, at the organization level or at a multiple team level, there are a challenge that you're facing without even knowing that. And that's really what we're going to talk about in today's session. What are the risks and challenges of fragmented work, as we call it? So Mano, you and I have been talking about this for some time now, and we have discussed what to call it. Call it fragmented work, distributed work, siloed work, etc. So, what exactly is fragmented work from what you see?
Yeah. So, there are two ways in which it can be defined. The first one is you have different teams within the organization using who are part of a common organizational objective or part of a common program or part of a common project. And the teams are using different systems or different trackers, which could either be in Excel, it could be in Word document, it could be some kind of a open source system, and so on and so forth. So you're using different tools, different systems, and none of these are connected. So I know what I'm doing, but I'm not sure what my team is requiring me to do. I'm not sure what is the likely impact of my work if it gets delayed and if it does not get done properly. So
Right.
basically one aspect of it is you're all working on a towards a common goal, but you're using different systems, not connected, not having visibility, not knowing the impact of your work to the overall purpose and goal, and hence facing a lot of challenges when an issue crops up or when you have to provide a visibility of what the team is doing to a senior stakeholder. So that is one aspect of fragmented work. The other aspect of fragmented work is um, there are a lot of projects, there are a lot of engagements happening within the organization, but how much what percentage of it is properly aligned to the organizational goals or objective, or what percentage of it has been approved appropriately by the relevant stakeholders. So, are my resources working on something which is not important for the organization, which can be deprioritized, which can be taken up at a later point of time? So, that is the second aspect of fragmented work. And we have seen both of these across our customer organizations, and we have seen customers coming to us to address this problem so that there is a proper alignment, there is a proper purpose behind which people are working on projects and various engagements they're associated.
Yeah, yeah. So just to sort of summarize, and this is the term that I learned with one of our largest customers, sandbox projects, as they call it, or pet projects. People have, especially after having worked in organizations and understood their own purpose or their functional purpose, they may have their own pet projects, which may or may not be necessarily contributing to the overall organizational, goals and values, but nevertheless get taken up because something has got to be done. For somebody, some VP or some director or some project manager says, "Hey, this is something that is absolutely important," and you go ahead and do it without getting sort of a formal buy-in from everybody around you. So these could be unapproved or unauthorized or unfunded projects, especially for unfunded projects. And that is the first side of things, as they say, which are essentially hidden or invisible projects. And the second is the work which may be approved. So they may be actually approved, but because they're being tracked in different sort of islands of technologies. They are being managed in spreadsheets or emails or docs. So they are not visible to everybody. They are only visible to the team that may be doing it, and therefore they become an example of fragmented work. Absolutely. So let's look at what are some of the challenges that we have seen with having fragmented work, and we're looking at them in two levels. One is at the organizational level. What challenges do these hidden projects or fragmented work cause to the organization? So the biggest challenge, of course, we talked about just now, is that it is essentially hidden work, siloed work. People don't really know that this is what is going on. One of the biggest thing that we have seen is that it provides no visibility to the actual capacity you have to do planned work, right? Because you're losing that capacity to the unplanned work or the hidden work. So you think that in a function, let's say a marketing team in an organization has 50 people, in the overall marketing function, and you believe that you might have 45 of those people available to do work on marketing campaigns and so forth. But in reality, the fact is that they are some of them are working on, most of them are working on some, projects that might not be approved or that might not be visible to the CMO, and therefore they have actually lower capacity to do any kind of work than they believe that they have, and that becomes a big challenge. Um, the second is, of course, that like we were talking a moment ago, that these projects are not aligned to corporate goals and objectives, right? So every organization, without almost without fail, I would say, sets up uh, some quarterly and annual objectives, right? And each of these objectives needs to then be initiated or worked upon through projects that you do, change initiatives that you take up, etc. And these hidden projects or these unapproved or unsanctioned projects are not necessarily aligned to those objectives, because they have been taken up in a way counter to some of the objectives that you might actually have. And even if they are, they're not visible to the people who are um, people who are interested in making sure that those objectives are actually being met. Uh, the third, of course, is the lack of progress on actual, uh, the goals and objectives that have been set up. So, because you lost the capacity to these sandbox projects, so to speak, now you have lesser capacity to do the work that you're supposed to be doing, and therefore you might end up delaying objectives that you've set for yourself for a particular quarter or for a year, simply because you just simply don't have the capacity to do so. And at some point that comes to the fore, that becomes visible, and then there is a scramble to figure out why there is a lot of work is going on because it is not part of the initial pipeline of project that you might have seen. um, One of the biggest examples of that I came across many years ago was with a company which is a very well-known telecom billing solutions providing company. And their biggest challenge that they were trying to solve by implementing a solution like ours was to provide visibility to these sandbox projects. So they weren't trying to shut down these sandbox projects. They were simply trying to make sure that anything that was being done, anything that uh, kept their people occupied, was visible to the overall leadership team, to the overall company, so that they had an accurate picture of what their capacity was. And I don't know if Manav, have you seen this in some of the other customers that you worked with, where the ability to understand what is the existing work and therefore what is the available capacity is a big part of the challenge that companies are trying to solve.
Yeah, we have seen that, and that has been a common problem. Let me just give you an example. I'm just going to just take your screen for a minute, Mahesh.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yep, it's coming up. Yeah, there it is.
Okay. So this is a view which a lot of our customers use across the board. What it basically does is it shows you for each team member within your portfolio or within your line of sight how they are utilized. And then when, like say, for example, you can see here Kai is utilized by 160%, which is high. And then you can basically, drill down and go to the projects and basically see his allocations across projects. Now, this visualization has basically helped teams to make sure that they have been able to identify resources who are over allocated, resources who are under allocated or not utilized appropriately across projects. And you will also be able to see on which projects they are working, if it is a project that is aligned to the overall objective, or if it is a project which is of lesser importance, then you can basically get the resource released from that project. So this kind of a visualization has basically helped organizations, especially a lot of our customers, to make sure that the utilization of resources is optimal, which will basically result in ensuring that people are not overloaded, people are work is evenly distributed across all team members, and the overall environment and ecosystem is positive. Now, apart from this, we do
I was
provide.
going to say, Mano, looking at this project screen here, that you seem to be a hard taskmaster. You got people. uh, allocated 160%. I'm sure that guy is a unhappy camper.
He's
And
an
so
unhappy
200%.
camper, and you're able to see how
Right,
it's allocated on a month-on-month basis, and
right.
yeah, so that is one benefit that we basically provide as a result of that. But apart from this, what is your demand? What is your capacity? Those views can be generated in the system. We have also helped our organizations to streamline a process based on which they will intake projects within the organization, so that you can have a workflow, and the workflow can go through multiple stages wherein which it gets reviewed and approved. And once it has been approved, we also we have seen customers allocating a budget, and then based on the budget that has been allocated, a project gets kicked off, and you will
Mhm.
always be able to get a view on what has been budgeted and what has been planned. So the part which Mahesh was mentioning, that projects which are hidden, which are not aligned to the overall objective, which has not gone through a formal approval process, all of that can basically get avoided if you take them through a proper intake process and make sure that the relevant stakeholders are in place to review and approve the project that really needs to be executed within the organization. But apart from this, what we also do, so see, it is always important to understand what the team is working on. So if you're working in a fragmented environment, to get that view, to get that visibility is a challenge, because you will have to refer multiple unconnected Excels and various other trackers. So what we do provide is, if all the teams are in one single integrated ecosystem, work ecosystem. It is not fragmented, but work gets approved, work gets planned, work gets assigned, and the status gets reported in one single integrated system. Then you will basically be able to get a visualization where you can see what the teams whom you're responsible for are working on at any point of time. So you can see a visual representation of the work that has been distributed across various team members. You'll be able to get a lot of indicators like where work is getting delayed. And more importantly, you will also, like, say, for example, at any point of time, if I want to understand what a particular resource is working on, you can create a lot of filters and get to see that, okay, there are some tasks assigned which needs to be picked up, some tasks that are in progress. Are these aligned to our organizational objective? Are they important? Is it of higher priority? All of that you will be able to get in one single integrated view by just click of a button. We also provide an ability wherein at any point of time, you can get a visual view of work which the team is doing. So, like, say, for example, you can set up your own personal dashboard. You will be able to see, on which project or what kind of work your team is engaged with. You can drill down, you can get into the count, you can get into the details. So basically, what we are saying is, if work is in a fragmented mode, getting this visualization in terms of how my resources are utilized, or what are the kind of activities my resources are engaged in, what are the projects that has been approved, that has not been approved, that has been put on hold, and how is the workload distributed across my team. All of this is basically available very seamlessly by click of a button. Over to you, Mahesh.
All right. So Mano gave you a good overview of how we help our customers manage some of the challenges of the hidden work. So Mano, I'm going to, if you stop sharing, then I can return to my slides. Uh,
Yes.
there you go. Okay, so let's now get back to what are some of the other things that we see our customers, sort of dealing with. So we talked about the hidden work and the sandbox project, so to speak. Um, The other part of it, of course, is the lack of visibility, and Manu kind of addressed that. So the lack of visibility is simply that, at an org level, it is critical for people, for leadership to know what the company is doing at an overall level. The most sort of precious or expensive or valuable assets of the company are the people that the company has, and a lot of organizations have no idea of how their overall people are deployed or allocated to work, or doing productive work, and not having that information can be very discomforting to companies. And of course, people try to do that at various levels, whether it's at a team level, or at a department level, or at the company level. Those who are probably more mature do it at the overall company level. Those who are not might do it at a team level or a functional level. But if you don't have information on what these projects are, whether they are approved projects or unapproved projects, if even if they're being managed in different systems, then you simply do not have the information that you need to have to see how your overall projects are doing, where they are, which of them might be in trouble, and which of them require help or assistance, or maybe many might need to be even be dropped or canceled, because you just don't have the visibility to that. And the same way with people, we've seen in the last 20 months or so, ever since the inflation-led, economic challenges have hit companies, companies have simply too much bloat, and they hire in good times people that they believe they need, and then when things don't look so good, they suddenly realize that they have way too many people, and that's it's terrible impact on the business, it's terrible impact on the people. And if they had simply better ways to run projects and manage their people, they would know that a lot of work that is being done, a lot of projects that were being done, were those pet projects, were those unapproved projects perhaps, which need not have been done if they had slightly better control on the overall understanding of what was the overall you know objectives being driven objectives being driven through these projects, and the way that their people were being utilized. So a lot of pain can be circumvented if companies were simply better at running their projects and their change initiatives to service their overall objectives and OKRs, etc. A third aspect of it, of course, that we have discussed is that in the past, is that there is a
So,
very poor ability. Yeah, go ahead,
just
Manu.
continue.
Sorry.
So, see, I just
Yeah.
wanted to. So this is an experience which a customer has shared with us. So
Oh, okay.
we have a customer which is into product development, and so the one of the senior executives of the organization had an important meeting scheduled with one of their key clients,
Mhm.
where they do a lot of release related work. Now, so the perception which the senior executive had is everything is going on well, because that is the update he got from the teams, that everything is going on well. But then he just logged into the system and he looked at two, three dashboards. And when he looked at two, three dashboards, he found out there in the last, 1 month, there were instances where they had quality related issues that was reported by the customer and it
Mhm.
was addressed, but quality related issues were reported. And there were instances where certain commitments were not met on time, but at a later point of time, it got addressed. So he was able to unearth these two issues. And
Right.
that is a result of visibility. And that is a result of having everything in one system. So how it helped the senior executive is he was able to go to the customer meet and he knew that these points would be raised up to him. He was able to
Mhm.
go to the customer meeting well prepared and make that overall meeting and engagement a positive experience. All of this just because of the data that was available for him just before the start of the meeting.
Well, fantastic, fantastic example. In fact, This is exactly the problem that I have seen being repeated so many times, exactly this kind of conversation. I remember a senior VP of engineering, a close friend of mine, we were having dinner together. And, once we got to talking about how uh, they manage complex engineering projects and, with some of the most talented people that they have probably on the planet because they're a high-tech company. His two biggest fears were, one, that even though he thought that everything was going well, he had no idea of how to actually establish that. So he thought that they were going well because there was no problem. But he said, how do I know that I'm actually doing well? That is the first part. And the second part is, even if they were actually doing well, which are the places where they could improve? So they may be coasting, they may be doing, work as at a sort of minimum acceptable level, but they might actually be able to improve and do far more. And he had no idea about that because they simply did not have systems in place to be able to say, where are the problems? Where are the opportunities for improvement? And that's exactly what you're talking about as well. So that's the thing, and that is in a way kind of dovetails into the next point, which is about inability to use institutional knowledge. So this is something that we've seen time and again with some of our largest customers. They do hundreds of projects a year, right? But as soon as those projects are done, they're closed and gone, right? The knowledge that was learned, the teams get dispersed, or the knowledge that was learned during those project gets does not get captured, and therefore all of that sort of dissipates over a period of time. It remains with the people, perhaps, and people of course get better. But if the person leaves, that knowledge is out the door. And this lack of ability to capture that institutional knowledge, I think, is again one of the biggest values that our customers try to derive through some of the process governance and the project templates that they set up in order to capture that institutional knowledge and make that available to other teams who are starting similar projects to reuse in their new projects. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
So in terms of the process governance capability, I don't know if you have something to show, but if we can talk a little bit about that, that'll be great. Let me just cover a couple of other points here.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, if you have something to share, you can probably, tee that up. Um, the other big thing that, again, in a recent conversation about ChatGPT and Gen AI and how this AI is being used, I was having with another customer of ours. And they said that if you don't have all of the data that you have of completed projects or projects that are in progress, what do you use? Where do you use your, big data, techniques, your machine learning techniques, and use all of the data information available for, making predictions about projects that are currently ongoing, or to, put together estimates for effort and cost for newer projects. If you simply don't track that information in some organized manner, then all of the thousands of projects that your companies done over the years, that information is missing. And every time a project manager is starting a new project, they are starting from scratch. And that's, people may not realize it, and the organization may not realize it, but that is a tremendous cost to the company, because they have all of that information that they have, they have all of the learnings from those past projects simply not available to their teams when they're starting off new projects. So one is the ability to reuse past learnings to start new projects, and the second is, of course, in the age of AI and ML, how do you really leverage it for really doing new projects in a much better manner?
Yeah. So, so can I just take over,
Yeah, yeah, of
Mahesh?
course, of course.
Let me just share my screen. Okay. So there are 2 points I very briefly want to explain over here. Uh, so the first one is with regard to visibility. So what you're basically able to see here is you're engaged, you're in a project, and you're looking at the three core milestones or deliverables which you have to make to the customer. You're able to see the percentage completion, and this percentage completion is basically based on the completion of work that has been assigned to various team members within your project ecosystem or within your work management ecosystem. So you can see it in a list view manner, you can basically see it in a graphical manner. So what I'm trying to highlight over here is, since this project is not operating in a fragmented mode, the lower level tasks or activities that has been assigned to a team member gets updated within the system, and then it gets rolled up so that the leadership at any point of time, if they want to know whether a specific deliverable has been made, what is the percentage completion, what is the date I can commit to the customer, what work has been completed, what tasks are not completed, you have a full visibility on that within the system. So that is the first part that I wanted to highlight on the aspect of visibility. And there are multiple such examples which I can share, which, if time permits, I will talk about it during this session. The second point that I wanted to highlight is, Mahesh did talk about leveraging the lessons which you have learned in the project, and then create a ecosystem wherein you can set up your best practices and then use that best practices for your future project. So it may be the same project manager, or it could be a different project manager. It doesn't matter. But when they come and create a project, the project gets created with some best practices that the organization has acquired over a period of time. So basically, what it means is, for a specific type of project or for a specific type of work, you will be able to standardize the workflow. You will be able to standardize the set of tasks, the set of milestones. You can standardize the dependencies between them. So you can say that, okay, say for example, if you're doing a specific activity, these are the 5 tasks that is being recommended, or these are the 10 tasks that is being recommended. So based on your learning, you can go and define it in the templates which we offer in the system. And once that has been done, when a project gets created or set up in the system, then the project can get created by referring to one of the templates which you have published. So there are a series of templates which we provide out of the box. This is purely based on our experience. This is to help you kickstart quickly, but at any point of time, if you want to put in your best practice, you can put them and you templatize them and use them for your project. So it basically helps you to kickstart the project quickly and move to the execution phase quite rapidly. We have had customers who manage very large complex projects who have reported that the project initiation time, they have been able to bring in significant improvement,
Mhm.
over 35% significant improvement as a result of leveraging the template capability which we have in the system. The other example that I wanted to highlight is, yes, template broadly creates a structure based on which your project needs to be planned and executed with some standard set of tasks, workflows, forms, and things like that. But the most important part that I wanted to highlight is there are tasks which you have worked on, and how you worked on those tasks and activities is residing in an integrated system. If it is in a fragmented system, that knowledge just disappears. Whereas if you have a integrated ecosystem, that knowledge on how you performed a specific task or a specific activity is residing within the system. Now, how that would help is, at any point of time, when a team is working on an activity, so it could be an existing team, a new team, based on the definition of the activity, the system will highlight to you, have you executed a similar activity in the past? And it gives you a percentage of similarity. So what this means is, you can go and see what was done in the past. What were the documents referred? What were the comments that were reported against this activity? What were the tasks that were defined? So you will be able to get that knowledge and then apply that in the context of your current work, rather than reinventing the wheel. So this has helped a lot of teams, especially when a new member is onboarded to your project. This has helped a lot of team to quickly leverage the learnings from the past and use it, and thus reduce the cycle time of work that has been assigned. Over to you, Mahesh.
Manu, I just want to remind you that that task was overdue. So you're behind on.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right, let's get back to that. So Mano is showing some very interesting capabilities that, of course, highlight how customers, solve some of the problems that they're facing, and especially this ability to track and reuse institutional knowledge is a key aspect of what companies should be doing, and they do using our systems. Uh, Very quickly, I think we are kind of running a little behind, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. But we in a way talked about the lack of alignment or lack of visibility to the alignment. Um, I can't stress enough the importance of this, and that our customers place over the years. If they have defined something at the corporate level, at the leadership level, they want to be able to understand how those objectives are being uh, driven through the organization by the rest of the organization, and that's from sort of looking at a top-down view of all the work being done. But the other aspect is the teams themselves, people themselves want to know why they're being asked to do certain work, right? And they want to have a better understanding of the purpose of their work. And if you don't have a formal mechanism to um, to link the two, the objectives and strategies that which are laid out at the top, at the company level, and the work that's actually being done, the projects that are being executed, the epics or the stories being done, the strategic initiatives being done. If there is no linkage between the two, you have no way to easily say that my objectives are being met, or what is the purpose of the work that I'm doing. And we have, some of our, I would say, most mature customers really do this very well, where they're actually able to, through very simple mechanisms, nothing that is too sophisticated, nothing that's very complex to set up, but all you do is to make sure that when you are thinking about your overall work management processes and systems, that you look at the need for linking strategy to execution, and therefore set it up in such a way that it's easy to be able to look top down and say, okay, for a particular objective, what are the strategic initiatives being done? And for a work or a user story that I'm working on as a worker bee, what is the overall objective? What is the epic? What is the OKR that is set up in order to do that work? And because you do this in an organized manner in a single place, you are able to do that far more easily than if you had work scattered across disparate systems, multiple spreadsheets, or you would have simply no ability to automatically link them. Somebody would have to put in a lot of work to capture all of that in spreadsheets or PowerPoint presentations to be able to even report that this is the work being done to complete your OKRs. So we talked about this at the organizational level, at organization challenges level. Now let's look at some of the team level challenges. So obviously, if you are working with suboptimal tools, if you need a very smart scheduling system, or a very smart, let's say, story mapping system that lets you break down your overall work that is being done. And instead of that, you're working with spreadsheets or email, or sorry, or with documents. You are simply underpowered in order to do the work that you're supposed to be doing. And the more you use these disparate tools or these fragmented tools, the lesser capability you have as a project manager, as a business analyst, as a scrum master, to really do an effective job of the work that you're doing. So whether it is basic scheduling, planning of work, reorganizing that plan. Just imagine you have a 150 task project, and you're looking at it you're managing that in a spreadsheet. Uh, Now, if you had to suddenly reorganize the work and you had some new things added to your overall project scope, how do you recalculate the schedule of the project? You just can't, unless you have some very sophisticated spreadsheets which let you do that. Using Instead of that, using a appropriate capability that lets you manage change, especially, makes it far more easy to do that. The second, of course, is that if you have these different tools, then the effort and the cost involved to track progress and to make changes, uh, and to report accurate status of projects becomes that much more hard. I've heard Mano, we've heard about innumerable project managers complaining that that's all they do Fridays and Mondays. They're chasing people to say, "Hey, tell me what's the update." I mean, I cannot imagine life like that, but there are people who do this over and over again, where they're trying to really understand and get people to report what work they have done. And this is not just in IT projects. This is not just in sort of traditional, serious projects. It could be happening in a marketing and a sales organization where somebody is chasing people to update their email campaign data, or it is something which is being done in a procurement department where you're trying to get updates on invoice statuses and so forth. So anywhere that you work and anywhere there is ability to provide updates to a central plan, that makes it far more easy than if you were doing it in these offline systems. And I'm going to just cover a couple of other aspects of this, and then we can maybe do some more show and tell if there is additional capabilities that you want to show. The second, of course, is the inability to collaborate meaningfully. What does that really mean? Right? We've seen, we know that almost all of our customers have a Slack or a Teams or Google Chat. So it's not that they can't connect with each other, they can't talk to each other, but they don't have the context of their work, right? So if you don't have a single sort of way to manage all of your work, then you either lack visibility to the actual work being done and you're discussing in isolation, or you have the work being done, but then your interaction mechanism is separated from that. So if you're using these disparate fragmented tools, your ability to actually collaborate in context and to be able to comment on things that are being done, to approve workflows and deliverables and so forth, simply is not there. The other is, of course, the inability to track dependencies, right? Um, you can have all kinds of dependencies. Typically, most people are used to sort of the start-stop dependencies that a Microsoft project kind of a tool can help you with. But you may have, hierarchical parent-child dependencies. You may have traceability-related dependencies. And each of them is important because each of them carries some information about what is the impact this piece of work that I'm doing has on something which is upstream or something that is downstream. And if you're not able to track them because you simply don't have that technology capability, then all of this work becomes invisible and it makes it harder for teammates to effectively collaborate because you simply lack that capability. And so that's the other aspect of it where your ability to collaborate suffers or is seriously sort of underpowered because you don't have the right set of tools and systems and processes in place. And the third aspect of it is, of course, the ability to track your own work effectively, right? So forget about other people, forget about the organizational objectives, but me as an individual, if I'm working on three or four different projects and each project has their own method of tracking, work and tracking statuses, then I have zero visibility to my own work. I have zero understanding of how to, not zero. I'm not going to say zero because obviously there are ways in which people manage these things, but the ability to easily prioritize across projects, across teams, and say this is the thing that I need to do today and make sure that this is what I'm going to get completed today or this week or this month is simply lacking because I don't have that process and I don't have that automation set up so that I can actually do that work. And in most companies and most teams, there is always a culture of interruptions that happen to you. So if you are constantly in an interrupt driven environment and you're juggling multiple things and uh, you know managing multiple priorities, multitasking, people pride themselves in doing that, but actually you're losing a lot of productivity because you're trying to juggle multiple things. And if you don't have a system that makes it visual for you, makes it visible to you that this is what you're doing, then you have no idea that that is the kind of loss that you are seeing as an individual. You're not able to work optimally. You're not able to accomplish tasks that you should be able to do easily and have that sense of accomplishment. So at a team level, Mano, we have again a lot of capabilities that we provide that let people see, and also manage, how much work they take up at any point in time. So I don't know if you want to talk about that, some of that, and show some capabilities around that.
Sure. So, so I'll just go to the first part, which you just covered. So the most important point over here is the whole team is working on a single integrated plan. They have visibility on the plan. You will be very clearly be able to see the various dependencies that has been defined against these tasks within your plan, and you will also be able to track them meaningfully within the system. So basically, what we are trying to highlight over here is having the ability of viewing your tasks, having the ability of seeing dependencies within these tasks. You will be able to determine that, okay, what happens if my system plan review gets delayed? I'll be able to see the cascading impact of that task against the other tasks that are planned in the project, for which a single user or multiple user may be allocated or assigned to that task. So the ability of having visibility on the tasks, the plans, and the dependency, instead of tracking multiple Excels and then tracking the progress of the project, is one important capability that we offer. But with that in mind, let me just give you one simple example. So we have had a customer who is in the system engineering workspace, and they are into new product development. So any new electronic product which they develop will touch multiple departments within the organization. So it could be a mechanical design department, it could be a software design department, or even a power electronics department. Now, before they started using our system, each department had their own tracker. Some of them were using Excel, some of them were using Word documents, some of them were just using Stickies on a board. So each department had their own tracker, and the status of these tracker was not communicated to the upstream overall new product development plan. So as a result, a lot of manual effort was involved to identify what needs to be done in a particular week, which is an important task that needs to be closed so that it will not have an overall impact on the program, and so on. So forth. A lot of effort was being spent by the teams to get this data. With our application, they have been able to bring all the department level plans in one integrated workspace. So at any point of time, you will be able to see the progress of tasks in terms of percentage completion, in terms of who is working on it, and also in terms of getting a Gantt view, uh, in terms of getting a Gantt view with the dependencies or properly laid out and properly defined, and so on and so forth. So they have been able to bring all the disjointed plans in one integrated system, and that has helped them to improve the way in which they have been able to track their programs and projects. And they have reported that they have been able to reduce the delays in their projects by 75%, along with various other benefits which they have been able to get out of the system. But because all the stakeholders are in one workspace, they have a realistic view on dependencies, they have a realistic view on impact that is going to have if a task gets delayed or if a task gets rescheduled. Because of that, they have been able to have bring in a system where they have been able to deliver projects much earlier and improve the overall delivery rate by 75%. So that is one important example that I wanted to highlight over here. The second aspect of this is you go to any of these projects, which basically has a plan for its execution. There are multiple stakeholders involved. Now, within the system, instead of relying on emails or relying on some kind of a communication channel, within the project, you will be able to collaborate. All the documents that needs to be a reference for a task, the various stakeholders who need to work on a particular task, you will be able to assign comments to them, they will be able to respond to that, and so on and so forth. So all aspects related to collaboration on a task happens within the system. You don't have to go to multiple other tools. And that has basically benefited a lot of our teams. Now, the way work gets managed, it need not be always managed in a formal way using a project schedule or a project plan. I mean, it is applicable for certain kinds of projects. But if you're just doing a very simple, you're executing your projects using a very simple task workflow, then you can configure a visual way in which the task can move from the initiation stage to its closure stage. All stakeholders will be visible over here. You will be able to track dependencies. And more importantly, at any of the task level, even in this mode of execution, you will be able to collaborate and track all the documents and the comments that has been posted by various stakeholders against an activity that has been planned within the project. So the 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 ability to create a plan, get all team members on the same page, understand why that task is important, why it will, or the kind of impact it can have on a milestone, and collaborate with team members is an important capability that we provide in the system. There are various views that we provide where at any point of time you can go and say, I want to see my tasks. I want to see my milestones. I want to see my deliverables, or I can even go and see the progress of tasks that I'm working on a visual dashboard. There are multiple other dashboards that are available in the system, but all of these views, so you can see that my open items, and I can drill down, I'll be able to see they're coming from which projects, I can see what is their priority, and then based on that, prioritize my work. We also do provide some interesting capabilities, like we have a bot which is powered through some AI capability, wherein you can ask a question: What are my in progress cards? What are my top priority cards? What are the cards or tasks that are due this day, this week? You can ask those questions, and it will immediately give you the list of tasks that you need to prioritize and work on. So all of this is available because it is not working in a fragmented environment. It is all in one single integrated ecosystem. And as Mahesh mentioned, it benefits the team member, it benefits the team, and it benefits the overall organization. Over to you, Mahesh.
That is an excellent coverage of some of the points we were discussing. Thanks for that, Mano. So I think we're coming close to our end of time. In fact, we are nearly at the bottom of the hour here. So, folks, if you have any questions, do let us know using the Q&A box. The Mano, there are a couple of questions that have already come in. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we can share our information. Um, so, sorry about that. All right. So yeah. So if you have any questions, let us know. Manu, a couple of questions that have already come in. In the meantime, I'll just share our contact information. One question here is that does this mean that each and every part of the organization has to have a sort of common process framework, process definitions defined for them to be able to use a system such as this? Or can they have their own functional templates, which may be for a particular location or a department?
The system provides the ability wherein you can have your own functional templates that can be specific to teams, that can be specific to product lines, that can be specific to locations across any way that you would want to have it. But as a best practice, see, the objective of having the system, yes, is to manage your work, leverage some learning, reuse that learning. But as a best practice is to improve the way you are working. Now, if that is the goal, then some level of standardization is recommended, because if you have some level of standardization, it is easy for you to measure and identify areas where you need to improve. Uh, so you can have functional templates, team-wise templates, product-wise templates, but what we have seen from our customers is if you have some level of standardization, it will benefit in bringing in improvements within the organization.
The other thing that I have seen, and I would like to add to that, is that we have seen implementations both which are top down, where there's already enough level of maturity that they have well-defined processes and templates that they want to automate using a system like this. But the other is we've seen very, very interesting and very strong bottom-up adoptions as well, where teams who have that level of maturity, it may not be across the organization, but teams have done it and they have established their own best practices, their own templates, and then they have demonstrated that capability to their other peers, right? Other teams in the organization. One of the largest healthcare insurance organizations that we work with here in the US. was a team that grew starting with a 20-person team to now over 3,000 people using the system, because they were able to show how they were able to benefit from having a system like this, and being able to really free up their own capacity by having a lot of the routine stuff being taken care of by through the system, and therefore not having to spend so much time on a weekly basis chasing people to put reports together and so forth, or even do things that were repetitive in nature, and actually free up creative time for their people to take on new things. At that time, they were implementing DevOps as an overall organizational initiative, and they were able to really free up people to really focus on being creative on how to implement DevOps as an example. So it need not be something which is a large, upfront, massive design exercise. It can grow bottom up, where you have a few examples of success, and you then replicate that success. Or if you are a company that is already well established, have a lot of discipline in terms of defining your processes, then you can certainly put all of those together, but it need not necessarily be used by each and every team. Every team or every function can have its own processes that they define with a minimum common, data structure that Mano was alluding to, that allows you to do reporting, that allows you to do visibility sharing across the entire organization in a common construct, and be able to say which projects are being run today, which projects are in a good shape versus not in the good shape, how are the people deployed, etc. So all of that can happen while giving teams and functions or departments enough flexibility to be doing their own thing. So it is not as complex as it might sound. But the other thing is, and again, Mano referred to that, is that ultimately what is the goal? If your goal is to make sure that you make it easier for your teams to be more creative and more productive, if your aim is to give them greater purpose and a sense of purpose in terms of what is the ultimate objective of the work that they do, and if you want to make sure that the leadership is aware at all times of what the work being done, is it being deployed purposefully and meaningfully, and if the money is being well spent, it just makes life easier for everybody in the organization in terms of funding projects that are the right projects, adding additional funds to it. And one of the biggest challenges that most project managers face, as you've seen, is asking for more money because something changed. But if that is well justifiable, and you have a complete sort of audit trail of how things changed and why this money is now needed, that becomes all the more easy for the project team to be able to go to their leadership and say, hey, here is good work that we've done. We can improve on it much more if you let us do this additional piece of work, etc. So there are all kinds of benefits at all levels of the organization to try and not have this fragmented ecosystem, and instead be able to manage it in a way that gives all teams enough flexibility, or as much flexibility as they need, but at the same time providing them the ability to collaborate with each other meaningfully, and for leadership to get the visibility that they need in order to provide all the support that they need to their teams to be able to successfully complete their projects. All right. So with that, we are actually past our time. So let us stop here, Mano. Any closing remarks, or let's do this. Let's invite the audience today to ask any follow-up questions using our contact information here. And connect with us if you have any comments on the topic today, as well as any follow-up questions that you might have. But thank you so much for joining the session today. Really appreciate the time that you've taken to stay through the entire session. And good to see some of the familiar, people who have been there. Thank you for joining back again, and we look forward to the next session, which will happen in 2 weeks' time from now. And if you have any other suggestions on topics that we should cover, we'd love to hear from you on those as well. And of course, finally, if you would like to get a closer look at some of the capabilities we showed today, then certainly we'd love to be able to do that through a custom session set up for you. Mano, thank you again for
Thank
all
you.
the
Thank you.
interesting things that you showed today, and thanks to all for being here today. Have a great rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you again the next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.